Hi, this is James Graves, and today I'm going to show you a little lesson on textures, just simple tricks. So right now, you can see this illustration is fairly basic. It's a lot of type, it's got some illustrations going on, but not a lot of texture. It's got kind of a neat layout, but for the most part, it's clean, everything's straight, and we don't like that. We want it to be textured. We want to add some flair. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to take all of this and we're gonna bring it into Photoshop. And we want things on their own layers, obviously. So right now I have this on its own layer, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some texture. You can apply it with a brush, or you can take photos of textures and bitmap them down, and there's you can get textures from anywhere these days. So I'm gonna add this texture, and but for one thing, this type, I don't want it to be all textured. I want it to have texture, but I don't want it to be hard to read. Plus, I kind of like the effect of like textures that are kind of condensed inside of the letters. So what I've done is I've added a layer of outline, inner outline, and I've made it black so that the texture doesn't go out all the way out to the edges. And this stuff, it's not even textured at all. It all is the same amount of layers, and it'll end up being, I think it'll end up looking pretty nice. So I'm going to grab all those layers and combine them. Make sure that it's white underneath, otherwise this effect won't work. Then go up to your filters and add some blur. You can see right here how much blur you're adding. You don't want to add too much, but you don't want to add too little either. Good indication is like this A, how small that dot's getting. And then you're going to want to open up your levels and just mess with the black and the white crosshairs. Just bring them close together until you see how this is getting. It's looking pretty nice. Definitely use a little more texture. And there you go. That's pretty nice. Now, obviously, it added some texture, and it's got some little speckles here and there. But it's also added, it's rounded some corners. It's messed with some angles. It's a really simple tool, really simple technique to get, a nice vintage textured feel. But we're not done there. The next step is to bring all of this into Illustrator and live trace it. So we're going to say this is a JPEG and bring it into Illustrator. And we're going to live trace it and then break it out, get all the colors right, make sure everything's perfect. And we're going to set up our file in Illustrator to have everything on its own board. Then we're going to go into InDesign, and we're going to import everything separately. I can show you that real quick. You go up to File, Place, make sure you have Show Import Options selected. Select your AI, your multiple storyboard AI, multiple artboard, and as you can see, you can select any of those artboards to be the one that you import. If you didn't know about this, it's really, really nifty. You can actually do multiple page documents with one AI. It was life-changing when I found out. So there you go. Bring that in, and it looks pretty nice. Obviously, it's not perfect, but for the sake of the tutorial, it's not too bad. But I want to add a little more. I want to have that nice fine texture. We've blurred the edges. We've got it going a little in the right direction, but I want it to look more real, more realistic, like it's a real vintage book. So I've got these textures, and the paper textures, and they're from a guy named Andrew Clark, and they're available on Pixel. I believe they're just called paper textures. And I picked out 3 for this, and they're bitmaps, so I can change the colors. So bitmap obviously just selects all the black and just makes that just the only color that you see. So everything else is clear. And in InDesign, if you import a bitmap, you can actually change the color. So I've changed the color to white in here on this one. So obviously that adds a ton already. And I just go ahead and I'm going to add 2 more. I think this one was a darker one, and then I'm going to add 1 more even. And you can see how it added to this. It's a darker one as well. And what that's done is it's made it look like it's aged. You know, it's like real rough paper almost. And it adds a lot to the piece. So not only did we add texture like in a vector sense, like texture the edges and added some flare there, but we've also added a secondary level of texture, which is really beneficial to getting that vintage look. I hope this was helpful. Hit me up with any questions on the comments.